Thank you, Jason. So I would just start by saying that, as the daughter of a struggling single welfare mother and the first in my family to go to college, I could have easily been that statistic. And I am living this data with my children, my third and fifth grader currently, which makes me angry and gives me a sense of urgency to fix a system that has failed our students for decades. I think that begins with recognizing first and foremost that we have a culture where we do not believe that all children can learn. That's manifested in the data we see for our Black and Brown students and our special education students. And when we remove systemic barriers to learning, our students thrive. So what does that look like? Instead of having our students and families be lucky enough to navigate the system and find their way into the programs that will ensure their success, we remove that barrier and we automatically put them in those programs so that they're not just going to be lucky if they are living in a pocket of excellence versus a desert of despair. We did that with our high school graduation by early intervention that identified hundreds of students who were off track, got them the credit recovery they needed, and put them back on track to graduate. We actually did that with our college readiness by saying it's not okay to say that Jessie is college material, but Juan is not. We're going to put all of our students on a path to four-year college readiness, and then families can choose to opt out of that path, but they don't have to be fighting their way into the path. We also, through early intervention, found out a way to identify 5,000 students who were off track for a variety of different reasons, including chronic absenteeism. So we got them the targeted intervention and student supports. Once again, as a system saying that we're going to do everything we can to remove barriers to success. I think we have to talk about special education. We are working right now to dismantle a broken system that has allowed exclusionary practices to push out one of our most vulnerable student populations. Until we actually institute multi-tiered systems of support and make sure that all of our students are assessed in real time for their progress, we will not meet the needs of those students, and I'm totally committed to doing that moving forward. Thank you. So I agree that students should be our North Star. I thought that Lily, spoke beautifully to the role of students having a voice at the table. And the reality is when we stop thinking about students as centering each and every one of our decisions, we get off track. I think first we need to come to an agreement that students are our North Star, but then we need to say that state takeover would be a disaster. It would be a disaster for our community. It would be a disaster for the most vulnerable students among us, for our teachers, and for the city for decades to come. And if we come at it through that value standpoint, then it makes all of these other difficult conversations much easier to navigate. In my day job, I've had to work alongside many labor partners, sometimes in disagreement on issues, but we come back together to the table and we develop solutions because we have a common goal, and that goal is to improve pathways for our students. So I think that a piece of this is also recognizing that we cannot wait for leadership to change, because we've seen boards change, we've seen superintendents change, we've had a revolving door. We can either wait people out and see the continued dysfunction with new leaders coming in, or we can say the buck stops with us. Our students and our community are waiting for us to anchor our decisions in a recognition that our budget crisis is real, that we can only get through it together, and that anything less than a total commitment to making that happen is a disservice to our community and our students. I also would just want to say we have some best practices. San Juan took 6 years to build a strong labor management partnership, but they did it. They're doing some of the work that's being lifted up at a state level through the Labor Management Institution, which talks about an interest-based way of coming together. And at the end of the day, they had to acknowledge that, yes, there was long-standing mistrust and that building relationships take time, but it's an engaging in conversations and believing that you have an imperative that's bigger than your personal interests that gets you over that hump. The first, I need more hugs from your son. That's one of the best things we can do for mental health. So I have to say, this issue just really hits me in my heart. You know, I've had family members who've struggled with suicidal thoughts and depression, and I've had a chance to sit in on many conversations with our students throughout the district, virtual conversations about what trauma they're encountering right now. I think we have to recognize that our students are dealing with two traumas. They're dealing with the trauma of a public health crisis and a racial reckoning that is shaking our students and families to the core. And we have to figure out creative ways to be able to meet them where they're at. And that first means that we have to recognize that not only do our district staff need to continue to engage in trauma-informed practice training, and we trained over 2,600 staff in the Cognito trauma-informed practice training this year, which was very important. But we also have to figure out a way to do more virtual counseling and connect with students in real time, because for many of our students, their homes are not safe spaces. We're not talking about the fact that for many of our students, their connection to their entire support network happened at their schools, and that was taken away from them virtually overnight. One of the things that we're looking to do right now, and I'm excited because we're going to be taking a board vote on this very soon, is to develop a peer-to-peer mental health support system. Because one of the things that we hear is that you have to have trusted brokers. If you're a student, you need to be able to confide in someone you know won't judge you, has walked in your shoes, has understands your lived experiences, and can help you navigate those uncharted territories. We believe that the peer-to-peer mentoring and mental health services is one way to do that and really be able to build a community of support in a very uncertain time. I'm also advocating very hard for additional Prop 63 resources through the county. We know that there are mental health dollars there. SCOE is launching an innovative partnership that will bring more mental health counselors into our school sites, and that cannot happen quickly enough. And then I would just say, you know, finally, I think it's really important that we create spaces for our students outside of the academics to build community and to help our families and students feel connected to the schools that are their second homes.
Thank you, Ms.